Good evening and welcome to Event TV. Tonight we begin with Quedia, with Steve interviewing Leif Smart about the Regender project, where he is re-engineering those classics that you thought you knew. And then we join Dean and his friends in bed when they discuss marriage equality in Between the Sheets. And then to finish tonight, we join Lisa-Skye as she introduces Erin and Hunter, and we hear how they identify and different aspects of the lives that they lead in our community.
Good evening, my name is Steve Pereira. Welcome to Quedia on Ben TV, where we explore all things art and culture. If you think you've read the classics, Herman Melville's Billy Budd, or Robert Louis Stevenson's The Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, or H.G. Wells' War of the Worlds, think again. They've all been rewritten, just like that. Yes, the audacity of it, tampering with the canon of English literature, how dare he, how very dare he. To explain just how and why he dares, please welcome Melbourne writer and iconoclast, Leif Smart. Welcome to Ben TV, Leif.
Thank you.
The Regender project. Can you tell us what it is about?
Yes, well, I am tampering with the canon of English literature, and what I do is I take these classic works and I swap the genders of all the characters, so the men become women and the women become men. And that's basically it. So instead of novels that are filled with male characters and in all the important roles, they're now filled with female characters. And
so is this, well, it begs the question, why?
It's predominantly to help promote gender equality. I kind of notice that narratives in general are very skewed towards men, like most movies and books are just filled with male characters. And I kind of wanted to help illustrate that and to some degrees help balance against it. So having sort of these novels, almost a mirror version of them, focused on women.
Because as we know historically that the canon of English literature, this is the work that's been the best of literature, is mainly men, and the people who decided which books were going to be accepted into the canon were also decided by men. And the characters are also very male-focused.
Yeah.
So this is your attempt to refocus it on creating a sort of gender equality, because would it then refocus refocusing on making it most of the characters female rather than male? Where does the equality come in?
It's mostly to highlight it. I think while there's a growing awareness that there's this imbalance in how men and women are portrayed in narratives, I kind of wanted to have a real concrete example. So you have the original work and then you have a regendered ones, and you can just see a clear difference where like when you read the originals, you don't notice how male-centric they are because we are just brought up and so used to reading them like that. Whereas having this sort of, emphasises, no, there is a difference. This is what the opposite view looks like, and hopefully going forward we'll find somewhere in the middle where there's a balance between the genders.
So is your audience for these books and people who are aware of the original and you want to make them conscious of the difference, or is it a new audience?
A bit of both. I think originally I was kind of aimed towards people who are familiar with the originals because they would be able to see the difference straight away and it would help prompt discussion around the issue. And then as I started regendering novels I hadn't read myself, I found how enjoyable they were to read as a new reader, and it shouldn't be surprising to read novels filled with women characters. It shouldn't be surprising that's enjoyable, and I think that's kind of an issue in itself. So I think it appeals to people who are new to these novels that might have been put off because of how focused on men they are, and ideally I'd like sort of young people to be able to read them as well, because they're the ones who will one day write novels that are more gender balanced.
So the books you've already done are pretty well, really important important books in the canon of work. Billy Budd, the Princess, Mark Twain's The Princess and the Pauper, Hawthorne's The Scarlet Letter, Stevenson's, as I mentioned, The Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Miss Hyde, and Mr. Hyde, which you've written on Miss Hyde. Conan Doyle's A Study in Scarlet. Jules Verne's Around the World in 80 Days, War of the Worlds. These are major books. Now, part of the reason you're able to do this is because these books are not copyright anymore. They're free.
They're in the public domain, so you are able to freely edit them.
What are the particular challenges of regendering?
It's, I think, generally names I've found challenging because I have to pick new names for the characters, names that sort of give a good sense of the original character so people aren't too alienated from the new versions, while at the same time being a new name.
But surely it's not just a matter of changing the pronouns. You don't just change he to she, because sometimes you have to change the entire context of her.
Yeah, I think with descriptions it can, is where it becomes tricky. If you have male characters described as wearing pants and with long beards and whiskers, when it's regendered to a female character, it feels a bit too jarring. So I need to go back and sort of edit through that to make it a bit more in line.
So did you remove the descriptors out, or did you write new descriptions?
I went with removing the descriptions. I shy away from putting my own words into these classic works. It's so I think maybe one day I'll sort of be brave enough to do that. But for the moment, I'm kind of sort of treading lightly.
Do you have a favourite from the books you've done where the regendering has worked particularly well?
They're all quite good. I think The Scarlet Letter I like just because of the theme behind it, the idea of male characters who are shunned and ostracised because of a sexual indiscretion.
But we were talking about that earlier because The Scarlet Letter is all about gender.
Yeah.
It's all about this woman who's being cast for committing adultery, and so gender is central to that.
Yes.
So how do you attempt that then, to regender it in that way?
I think that's where my method of sort of not doing too much, because I'm just swapping the genders and it leaves it open for the reader to sort of look for the message that they want.
But you didn't, hopefully you didn't take the role that Demi Moore did and give it a happy ending.
No, it's still the original ending.
Still the original ending. So you won't tamper with the basic structure for and with the basic themes remain the same?
Yes.
Fantastic. So where can we find you? Or where can the audience find you?
I've independently published them on Amazon, so if you search for L.E. Smart on Amazon, you'll be able to find all my books, or check out my website at www.leafsmart.com.
Brilliant. Well, congratulations. I mean, it's about time that we've had a regendering project for this canon of work that is so male-centric.
Yep.
I'm really interested to read them. I went through some of the books that looked really interesting, so I'm anxious to read The Scarlet Letter in full.
Yep.
To see that. But thank you so much for being with us on Ben TV.
Thank you for having me.
And congratulations on this very unique project.
Thank you.
You've been with Steve Pereira on Quedia on Ben TV. Thank you for watching. We'll be back.
Welcome to Between the Sheets, where we get into bed with me, Dean Arcuri, and talk about some of the queer issues that are going on in the news today. Joining me in bed today is the lovely Stephen, Davey, and Jessie. So guys, what I wanted to talk about tonight is marriage equality. Do we really care about it? What are your thoughts?
I guess I can start. To me, it depends how you're defining marriage. Marriage is a cultural universal, so it means all cultures throughout time have usually had some form of marriage, whether it's a legal binding contract,
like a contract, or
or between man and woman. What are you defining it as? In our modern society, it's basically a legal contract, unless you're bringing religion into it, which is where I have the problem. If you're saying, oh, it's between a man and woman, and you're pulling out Bible verses that
brings on a whole other level. I mean, it is a huge debate, especially with the election coming up. We're all talking about marriage equality. Will there not be a plebiscite? What's going on? And I've noticed a lot within, our queer culture, a lot of people complaining because they feel like that's not the issue that they want to be focusing on. Marriage equality isn't what's going on with them. What do you guys think?
Well, I grew up just like everybody else did, mostly around married couples. I grew up wanting to get married, and I still do. And genuinely, it's something I do care about. I think there are some massive issues, not only in the queer community, but just in general, like throughout we have issues with gender equality and all that. But at the same time, just because there are other important issues doesn't mean we should ignore something that separates us from being equal.
Well, do you think we've focused on marriage equality so much that we've forgotten about a lot of other things, like transphobia or things like that?
We definitely have. I don't hear a lot about Australia's issues with transphobia so much because everything is about same-sex marriage.
But on that, I have to say, it's one thing sort of leads to another. If you're fighting for marriage equality, it isn't necessarily so that you have marriage and have this unity. It's equal rights is what you're fighting for. So if you can't get the basis of marriage, how do you expect things to follow that, whether it's trans rights or any of the issues?
Well, by saying that you don't want to allow us to have marriage equality, you're putting that idea more specifically into children's minds that there is something about us that is lesser and we don't deserve the same, and therefore, it encourages bullying.
I think I was about to say, for the first time ever, Stephen has been uncharacteristically quiet, especially in bed. But you have something to say, I hear.
I don't give a crap about marriage equality, quite frankly.
Why not?
I give a crap about equality, and equality is what really matters. The notion of equality has been almost hijacked by the notion of marriage, whereas we have so many other issues that we really need to focus not just our attention on, but our resources on. I mean, if you look at the Human Rights Campaign in the US, they've got millions and millions and millions of dollars behind them.
And millions and millions and millions of issues. I think we sometimes have an issue here in Australia that we think of, focus on one thing. We get tunnel vision. And I personally think with marriage equality, because I'm for marriage equality, but I haven't had a boyfriend in 10 years, so it's not like it's going to happen anytime soon. Equality is, I agree, exactly what it comes down to. But I think we spent so much time thinking we're going to focus on marriage equality and thought it would happen quicker than it has, so that we could open up to the other issues going on. And now we're still focusing on this one, and it's all just gone a little crazy.
Yeah. It's so strange for me coming from America, and we're always told Australians have the highest percentage of the population that is for gay people, and they support it, and they're all about it. And then to come here and hear that these issues are still around is really baffling to me, because in America it's like, oh, Australians love gays.
It's funny, I heard the same thing when I was overseas, and they were just like, you don't have marriage equality? And I was like, no, and everyone just assumes that we do. Everyone assumes it's all what's going on. So, okay, equality is what's most important. What issues do you guys think we've missed out on when because we've been focusing on marriage equality? What haven't we been talking about?
There are trans issues. I mean, without them being here, I don't feel comfortable talking about them.
It's weird, yeah.
But they're part of our community. It's an LGBTIQ plus A plus community. And
so many letters.
Yeah, and we need to remind ourselves that LGBTIQ plus doesn't mean privileged white, gay or lesbian.
Yeah, or just same sex.
Or just same sex. Absolutely. We've got so many other issues to go behind. We're already so far ahead in terms of our rights. I mean, we have it pretty good in this country, to use a throwaway term.
Let's just go around the bed. Top 3 issues that you think are important, starting with Jess.
Me first.
Oh, mate, we'll start with you.
Don't start with me. How I'm going to smuggle this out of the studio. Equality for all, and the increasing conservatism in our politics.
Mine are trans and intersex issues in general, suicide prevention and bullying. They're my 3 top things in relation to the queer community that need to be looked at.
I'm very pro dealing with mental issues and dealing with whether it's anxieties or depressions. I feel like most developed nations they're getting there, but it's very slow coming. I do think marriage equality is important. I don't want to get married. I think it's sort of irrelevant, but I do think that it is something that you have to work towards. so that you can have rights as other people, whether you want to get married or not. A third issue.
I feel like 3 was a hard number.
I know.
2 can be
Are there
enough.
more than 2 issues on Earth?
They were 2 enough. They were enough. Jesse, what about you?
I think we need to, allow visibility among not just gay white men. That we realise that our community is all inclusive, and we do have people of colour, of bisex females, transgender, everything, and it's not just what we see on television as a gay white man who's funny and stereotypical. And we're moving past the stereotypical, but we're still focused on gay white man. And then as well, definitely the mental issues.
Absolutely. Well, I think we can all agree that the good thing about marriage equality and the debate about marriage equality is it's brought greater awareness and taught us more things that we need to learn as a community, as individuals and together. So thank you for joining me in bed, guys. We're going to go and get busy, and maybe you'll join me in bed next time.
Hi there, I'm Lisa-Skye, and I'm in conversation today with 2 of my favourite people in the world. We have Erin and Hunter. Welcome.
Hi.
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 How you doing?
Better now that you're here.
Oh, stop, go on.
That's
Now,
all I
Erin,
got.
you say nice things about me.
I'm coming up like... Can't put me on the spot like that.
That's fair.
It's got to come out naturally.
All right, well,
you know?
let's get to know you both. So, firstly, Hunter, how do you identify? What's your deal? What's going on?
Identify as trans, FTM, dog. We'll get to that later. Alpha, friendly, and an elitist fuck at the same time.
Alpha-friendly, elitist fuck.
Yes.
I love that Combi Christ song. And Erin?
Laundry list. Look, fat, obviously. Disabled, obviously. Also transgender, trans man, bisexual, and well, there's probably some other stuff, but that's all the important stuff I can think of.
What are your feelings about the term bisexual? Because, Hunter, I know you identify as queer. I also identify as queer rather than bisexual, but I heard someone say this amazing thing a few months ago, because I identified as bisexual from, I think, 20 or 14 onwards, and then kind of thought that it might be about gender binaries, but then someone else said an amazing thing quite recently, that bisexual to them meant as in people like me and people not like me, which is everyone else. So for me it would be like femmes and others.
Yeah, that's the current, I mean, if there is any kind of solid bisexual community, that is the current definition of bisexuality.
Yay!
I didn't identify as bisexual. I came out as bisexual when I was 14. And then a few years later, the word pansexual started becoming more common, and so I started identifying as that. And then a few years ago, this thing started happening where people would refer to bisexuality as only being attracted to men or women, you know, and yeah, and also usually implying only cis men or women. And I'm like, that's not accurate. Like, I know a lot of, you know, differently gendered people who identify as bisexual, and it's just kind of nonsense. So I've started re-identifying as bisexual, mostly so I can be angry at the people who insist that bisexuality is only about men and women and only for cis people, because it's just not. And so, and particularly as well, now that I'm being perceived as a man, I think it's really important for bisexual men to be open about being bisexual, because bisexual men get shat on.
Yes.
Like, you know, there's a lot of the, oh no, you're not really bi, you know, you're secretly gay and you're going to break some girl's heart because you're secretly gay.
But then bisexual women, it's okay, they're just straight.
They're just straight.
Play.
Basically,
because patriarchy.
Yeah, because patriarchy. Obviously, everyone's attracted to men and only men. So,
if you're a fan of my segments on Bent TV, do make a drinking game every time I say because patriarchy. And enjoy your hangover. So, because we've got quite a lot of cross section between us all, because we all identify as dominant and dominant, queer / bisexual, fat. And you both have similarities as far as chronic illness goes too.
yeah.
Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, absolutely. I have end-stage renal failure, amongst other things, but that's the main one at the moment. I'm on dialysis, and that's interesting. Having that and going out in the community, I might as well just say, please don't have sex with me, because I am attached to a machine all the time.
Yeah.
Or you get the creepy people who want to have sex with you whilst you're on the machine. That's a different story. Could be fun. My blood is over there.
Maybe not the default.
No, I don't want to
Yeah.
start
Yeah.
at sex at a machine or not at all.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, not because of, and kind of
it's
not
a
despite
fetishization
either,
of, So there's that. And so lots of sleeping, lots of chronic pain, lots of painkillers. Used to be fun, not anymore.
That sucks.
Yeah.
It's like if they made you have 18 pancakes a day for health, and it just gets really
Old. Yeah.
Yeah.
just carbo bloat.
No. Sad.
Now, Erin, and your experience with chronic illness is quite different because yours has been around for long.
I was 13 when I first fell ill, and I got a diagnosis a year later, combination chronic fatigue syndrome and fibromyalgia, which are two diagnoses that make doctors not want to have anything to do with you. Because we don't know what causes them. We don't even know if they're all the same disease, because both diseases are basically well, you've got these symptoms and we don't know what it is, so we're going to call you this. And obviously, I mean, I'm 30 now, so that's what, like, a bunch of years. You know. Yes, maths.
Yeah.
It's
Oh, wait,
hard.
since 13, 17 years. Fast maths.
Good job. And so, understandably, my health has gone up and down and up and down. At the moment, it's kind of in a down patch. I spend about 6 hours a day on bed rest, waking hours a day on bed rest at the moment. Constant pain, although I'm on a new painkiller, which is helping a bit, which is good, but it doesn't eliminate all pain, just halves it. And a whole bunch of other things that are really boring. Basically, if you've ever had a really bad flu, it's a bit like that,
Yeah.
but without the phlegm. So...
And I know that that's something that you've always struggled with, and you too, Hunter, with like energy and things. But a kind of, I know we've spoken a lot about this, a fairly new thing for both of you to fiddle around with in your brain is the desirability aspect.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I mean, this has happened to me a lot too. Like, as you pointed out, Erin, people are fascinated with you because they're ticking off something on a bucket list,
Yeah.
or because of what you can do for them.
Yeah, I have kind of stopped dating a bit at the moment because the only people who were interested in me were interested in what I could do for them. They heard I was a rope top. They'd be like, "Oh, can you tie me up and fuck me?" And I'm like, "That sounds great, but what about me?"
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I enjoy that, but also, you know, maybe think about what I want too.
Yeah.
And then you have the people that have a sort of a political sort of like, "Oh, I'm going to fuck a trans person. I'm so like evolved. Look at me." And
very fashionable for a while.
yeah, it
To
did.
have a trans person, if you could have one that was like disabled and ticked off a whole lot of other things,
Yeah.
then
You got extra brownie
extra
points.
cred points
Yeah.
for being cool.
Yeah. And
with-
again, it's no good because the people are just looking at you as something you represent or something you can do. And it's kind of, it's like, hey, I'm actually a person under
Yeah.
all this.
Yeah.
And how can we change that? We're running out of time, but what's one thing we can change about that, or what's one way in which people can communicate that that's not what they're doing, it's not tokenism, it's not...
Basically, just remembering it's a two-way street. You know, thinking about, oh, I want you to do this to me, but here's something I can do for you.
Yeah, start with
That's-
what you can give first.
Yeah.
Before.
That's the
wanting them to-
biggest, easiest way to show that you're not just trying to take advantage.
That's amazing. Okay, thank you for giving us your time. I've been Lisa-Skye. Big thanks to Erin and Hunter.
That's all the time we have for tonight. Thank you for watching. My name is Gavin Henderson. Please visit our website, YouTube channel, Facebook to keep in contact and support Bent TV.